One of the questions which many of us feel that to ask you is, there is a big criticism, like Kalekuri Prasad is there, one Dalit intellectual in AP, and also KG Satyamurthy, who are vehemently criticizing the Marxist and left movement who came out of that. And even at present in AP also there are a large number of movement which vehemently criticizes the left movement. And the point what they're criticizing, you accept the caste system into that, which they're not doing it. On the face value they're doing, which you also told in the lecture. On the face value, like in Tamil Nadu, you have a separate caste forum in the left. And there are other intellectuals like you who have been also criticizing the Dalit movement for democratic politics, which is also very important. But I find this, while criticizing, there is a big left movement takes your voice to the Dalits when you are criticizing. So that is what we all feel. So that in this video, I exclusively asked you to, I request you to speak talking about the left movement. What is that left movement in India? And how do you see the left movement in India? Apart from Dalit movement, which you spoke in many places.
Look, as I spoke in the lecture also, I would almost repeat many things from there. The left movement, the way they looked at the Indian reality, there is something fundamentally wrong. Relating to your question, I would say that I critique the Dalit movement. But you probably do not know, because we take our own perspective and probably note that one. But I have been a bigger critic of the left movement also, and I consider myself to be part of the left, and I do not dissociate from the Dalit movement too. So I have a peculiar kind of stand on these things. My critique on left movement relates with the caste itself. To start with, they have messed up the thing in doing the class analysis. Class analysis constitutes the fundamental in, say, the left movement. If you we have to refer to what kind of ideology, because even socialists, etc., also would call themselves left. I am excluding them. And left definition would be the people who have adherence to the Marxist ideology. So let us be clear about the definition. So if that is the definition, then you have to, the class analysis constitute the fundamentals. Now, how did they look at the caste question in India? The caste, as Dalits would tend to easily agree, has been a pervasive reality here. It actually defined the order, the power distribution, etc. according to caste. Caste had definite vocational roles for various people. So everything, if you look at objectively at caste, then this category pervaded right from the production, the fundamentals of production, to the cultural realm. So unlike anywhere, this was not the situation that could be imagined by Marx, for instance. Okay, but Marx wrote much more sensibly than what his followers in India did. So these people looked at the thing and relegated the entire caste question to the superstructure. You know, superstructure, again taking a clue from Marx's metaphor, was to follow the changes in the base. Okay, that does not happen that way. Even taking that as a metaphor for into focus, you know, it had a dialectical relationship. As the base changes, the structure also can resist the changes in the base, and so is the vice versa. So even the superstructure also influences, but it's not a question of, I'm not actually subscribing to that kind of opinion that the caste is to be relegated to superstructure. It could be understood in that way. Basically, caste is not a superstructure firstly. That needs to be acknowledged. It is a peculiar reality. The reality is to be objectively recognized, that it pervaded every sphere, and therefore the question that arises is, how could that be excluded from class analysis? In 1920s, when they were attempting to sort of organize the movement, that time if they had understood this basic reality, the mess up could have been avoided. the caste should have been embedded into class. The classes should have been so conceived that the caste question is embedded, and the struggle therefore thereafter, having the profile of class in that manner, the communist movement itself could have embedded the caste struggle into as a part of the integral part of the class struggle. Then the question would not have remained. There would not have been necessity for separate Dalit movement. There would not have been necessity for all that we see, these kinds of conflict in the basic classes in India. This is my point.
Sir, you were talking about the left movement actually. This is you are covering a larger history also. But could you tell me, in the contemporary left, how do they see caste? For example, in Tamil Nadu, there is a untouchability eradication front, which is a Gandhian kind of an idea. So that even here also they have based on caste, but though they have a political party also, but they have a separate unit. And so this is a contemporary level. So how do you see that one?
Yeah, that's a very good question, because what I said is still applicable to their current state also. These people have not compromised. They have outwardly they have taken up, they have acknowledged caste. Previously, if you look at their literature, probably caste would appear as a passing word. But now they have taken caste, they sort of recognized caste, recognized Ambedkar. So many things outwardly have happened. But if you go to the core, they would still insist upon the same kind of superstructure syndrome. So there has not been a change. Unfortunately, I do not find any change in any of the parties. In most radicals have even included. Okay.
Okay. Adding to this, actually, could you comment now? You are talking about the political parties. There are intellectuals, left liberal intellectuals, like this Yogendra Yadav, Aditya Nigam. These are very crucial factor intellectuals who came forward, Pata Chatterjee and others. How do you see them in the contemporary world, in the sense in the caste question? How do you see they see the caste?
That's why I needed to define what left is. So I would not. It's not a matter of claiming it. It's a matter of something like having a definitive ideological realm. So many people speak various language. I do not understand. And in liberal framework, you can have something like as the postmodernists, etc., conceive as existential things, the way they obtain and the things you have to recognize. That kind of, I would not be able to contribute to that kind of discussion any substantially. My focus is about what the left, which actually added to this thing. Yogendra Yadav, etc., they concede that all meaning castes are there and they have to be reckoned as they are and all that. So this is the way they view it. But beyond that, you see, there has to be why are we discussing all these things? That needs to be very clear. My focus is from the viewpoint of annihilation of caste. This is a very pure and simple Ambedkar slogan, because that constitutes that would rid this country of this nonsense, and that holds the key for the liberation of the basic classes. That is what my focus is. So from this focus, if you approach this problem, then talking about so many piscivorous tendencies or the existential way the people operate, etc., becomes problematic. Because how do you cohere them into something like a force which would catalyze that kind of desired transformation in society? That is my problem. So I do not understand. We can talk ad infinitum, discuss things, various characteristics that people wear, various identities people have. So that I do not know what it amounts to ultimately. You can articulate electoral politics in that sense. You can Yadav contributes many things in terms of the electoral politics, who does what and all. And there is a term called democratization, which can be applied very easily to all these currents. But there is, I see the problematic from my viewpoint. I have definitive viewpoint. My entire thrust has been all towards that. It may not happen today, tomorrow. This is not going to happen anywhere. But we have to work consistently in that direction. So that way I approach the problem.
Actually, I was trying to focus on driving from the point of Satyanarayana, the recent Ambedkar cartoon controversy. He was saying the left liberal intellectuals, Satya, yeah. He was saying that the left liberals intellectuals, exclusively focusing on this Aditya Nigam, the controversial, when the Ambedkar so-called controversy came out, there were left liberal, he was terming left liberal, them actually, like Aditya Nigam, Nivedita Menon, Yogendra Yadav and others, the way they see Ambedkar, in the sense they see the caste issue. He says that in that video, that if you can't understand the Dalits expression, what they're trying to say, it means that you have never understood caste. And even the subaltern studies have not included the caste question itself. And even when Pata Chatterjee's recent interview also, he said in the interview, he said that there is no Dalit movement since there is no Dalit movement in West Bengal, I'm not aware of how to see different issues. And also they said that we never expected such a response from Dalits. So that I want your comment on Satya's viewpoint on these people, how they see Ambedkar, because you were saying iconization. They are also saying iconization. But Satya was saying different. Could you?
Unfortunately, I have downloaded and kept that thing to be seen. I have not seen Satya's interview on YouTube. But look at, I don't care for what others are speaking about. There could be many viewpoints with various motives. My motive is very clear. Ambedkar's iconization is a two-edged sword. It could be very positive, and in initial years, Ambedkar as an icon played up a very positive thing in mobilizing Dalit masses. Okay, so to that extent, it remains positive. But we have to be very, very cautious about who are the forces which are promoting this thing. Thereafter, the ruling classes have taken on themselves to promote Ambedkar as an icon, which is dissociated from the historic person of Ambedkar. Okay, so there we have to be very alert. And now there onward, the kind of iconization that is being done has been very, very inimical to Dalit interest.
That's okay, sir. But the way left, like Yogendra Yadav and Aditya Nigam were debating the time.
See, my problem is I do not, I read very selectively. I do not have so much time to read all across, because my profession has been different, and also I don't, summarily I can say I don't care. I don't care about who writes what. That's not my concern, because even if I read and spend my time on, that would not get, that would not bring in any kind of revenue, so to say, revenue, I would say in my language, business.
Okay, in relation to this last question is, basically the whole entire discussion was surrounding to say that Ambedkar has not been recognized as a figure, as an intellectual, as anything, even by the left liberals. This was one of the recognized. Even, for example, this recent, The Greatest Indian, which we also spoke earlier, and even the book BJP wrote about Ambedkar very badly, the false god, worshipping the false god. And so that, how do you see the left and the BJP the way they see Ambedkar?
To start with, it's very correct. Okay, there has been, and it smacks of casteism. Okay, Ambedkar was never sort of recognized. All his life he faced this kind of prejudice from society that's very, very palpable if you when you run through the way he lived. But when he became a force to reckon with, then a lot of forces started sort of dealing with Ambedkar in a peculiar way. Like we have discussed how Ambedkar was inducted by Congress into Constituent Assembly and sort of. That is also a way of recognizing. Even after that, Ambedkar was not whole lot recognized as a sort of in terms of his greatness, and Ambedkar stays as great. I am not speaking because he belongs to us and all, not from the viewpoint. Taking Indian objective reality, the contribution of Ambedkar is that he confronted the core problem of this land very originally and sincerely worked for that. There lies his greatness. Not because he was an intellectual giant. From all his kind of profile, you can identify at least on every parameter. Probably he would stand taller than anybody around. That is not the language I am speaking about. That does not mean much. But Ambedkar confronted the core problem of India originally. He tried to approach, because India is a unique land, its problems were unique, and he is the person who has really took on those problems by, we call that bull's horn kind of thing. If you want to exemplify what I term greatness, I will invoke Bhagat Singh. Died very young, quite unlike Ambedkar. But he is another person I would sort of exemplify with, that he is the person. Apart from these two persons, probably I do not get anyone who has really thought over originally and really sincerely worked on their thinking. There lies Ambedkar's greatness. And from this viewpoint, very few people recognize him. So this remains as a fact behind even iconization that I speak about, that they will they will project one-sided kind of image. And something, it happens very deliberately, that the minor part of Ambedkar would be projected as or amplified into a big thing, so that the real greatness of Ambedkar actually is overshadowed. So this is the approach. So there is a lot of politics that goes in even recognition. There is a politics of recognition also. What do you recognize? So they have never projected that Ambedkar is something like a revolutionary. He could be a viable revolutionary icon for India. That way nobody has done it. Left, liberal left, of whatever you term them, and BJP, you discard that. Arun Shauri, etc., not to be counted. There are certain things we need not talk about, you know. So that discipline we should imbibe. So BJP and their politics is of a different kind. They create a deliberate continuum. At the one end is the rabid kind of thing, another end they would go anyway. So they want to catch up all the people and use them for their own agenda. So there is no issue about it, and why waste time on BJP?